Okay, third time's a charm. Started to do first video, kind of ran into technical difficulties. Second vehicle kind of ran into my dog demanding attention because I had a neighbor at the front door. So we'll do this a third time and hope it's the charm that works. So I wanted to show the Mishkin fleet as it is right now. It's primed. I was going to do this before it was primed because I wanted to show how everything kind of looked as it was assembled, but time and holidays and everything, I ended up looking at where I'm going to have to prime it and then try to shoehorn this video in, and then probably have to do this one since it's car of the month. I'm probably going to have to focus on it alone and finish it up, get it submitted, and then come back and finish the rest of the team. Which that's fine. That's cool. But wanted to go over at this phase, talk about some of the Mishkin toys and gizmos, whiz bangs and stuff. And so I figured to start with the arc lightning projector, which I sometimes call the arc lightning cannon, and so that's what this BMW is armed with. And so this one's a turret mounted, and yeah. So the big thing about the arc lightning cannon is it's a 66 weapon, and when you hit a target, you arc the shot in a 360-degree way that you want, and you try to hit as many vehicles as you can. And every vehicle that's within short range of the vehicle you hit takes a shot as well, and so on and so forth. So if you're here and you fire on this vehicle, they take 66. If you hit, this vehicle takes 66. If you hit, so on and so forth and on. The only real caveat is that it has to go to the short vehicle, to the vehicle that's in short range. So you could theoretically accidentally hit your own teammates. And adding to the whole where I compare Mishkin a lot to Skaven, you have the idea where you can target your own car to set up these vehicles. So if this is your teammate, you can intentionally shoot your teammate to start the daisy chain through the field. Yeah, it's how I would say is kind of rude. But it's a viable option. I don't really recommend it, but that's kind of how a lot of Mishkin's weapons actually work. And again, it's electrical weapons, so once you fire it, you're recharging it on 4, 5, and if you're in gear phase 4, 5, or 6, when you activate, you recharge it. So, yeah, kind of fun. Then you have the Death Ray. And the Death Ray is a 3-can investment. And this one here is, I got this from Switchyard Studios. Their Fallout Gaslands Hybrid series, and I love them. I love them. So I'm hoping to get, when I get next time I get some money, I'm going to pick up some more of these. Since my 3D printer's kiboshed. But the Death Ray, it takes some work to get it going because you have to have 5 uncanceled hits in order to have the effect kick off. So you only got 3 dice shots. And so you basically have to pair it with the perk Headshot. So you get 3 hits on a critical roll instead of 2. That way, when you roll 3 dice, if you get 2 6s, you got kind of a better chance of getting what you need. And the great thing about The death ray is, again, it's an electrical weapon, so it's recharging on 4, 5, or 6. So you're not always out of shots with it. But it is a weaker overall weapon than the combat laser, but it's cheaper to a degree. But so if you figure out that you got to have death rate, I would say any kind of build that has death rate, figure that the weapon is going to cost 7 cans instead of 3, because you absolutely have to have headshot as a perk to go on that vehicle. Otherwise, it's going to be very hard to get the perk to go off. And plus, you really want that perk to go off because it is a really rewarding moment to one-shot a tank or a war rig or a big heavy truck with the death ray. Especially when they're right at full health and it's early in the game. So if a 7-can investment can neutralize a 50 to 70 can vehicle, I think that's a good trade-off. So then we have my Mishkin ambulance, and it's got a grav gun, a harpoon, and a ram. And normally Mishkin is a more shooty team than ramming, but this is the dirty trick. The grav gun is a 3d6 weapon, and if you hit, you can make the target 1 weight class heavier or 1 weight class lighter. So if you're shooting this, say this is a medium vehicle, and I want to ram it. I hit the grav gun, make it a lightweight vehicle. Harpoon hits it, and then your harpoon effect will spin this thing around and draw it in because it's a lighter vehicle. So boom, now you have a head-on impact, and it's a lighter vehicle, so you're getting more dice to do more damage. And they're lighter, so they're going to do less damage back to you. And then you can apply some of the ambulance's shenanigans. Particularly in this case, if it's an enemy vehicle, you apply Downer. And Downer is one of the ambulance's best tricks. And okay, so if you ram, this vehicle, instead of gaining 2 hazards, loses 2 hazards, which sounds like you're helping them for a moment, but it's not, because also they're losing a crew. And so if this is a performance car, it goes to crew 0. So when it goes to crew 0, when it's that vehicle's turn in that gear phase to activate, they go down a gear, and then they have to select a template that is hazardous to them. And if they can't select a template that is hazardous to them, then the person to the left of that person can pick any template to assign to them. And that includes sending them right off the board edge, or into obstructions, or into other vehicles. And so it is a very brutal and mean thing to do. And plus, if you have a teammate with gas grenades, you can take down trucks and another high crew vehicles, and things that aren't going to be too happy about that. And so the only bad thing is from what I understand, you get the gas grenades and downers. It's a temporary thing, so they do, if you take someone down from 3 to 0, I believe they do go from 0 to 3 at the end of that trick. But you can basically set somebody up real bad, especially if you can catch them early, like gear 3, gears, or any kind of gear phase 1 through 3. If you can catch them, that you can really mess up their day. But the big thing is, of course, the messing with the crew and everything. It's just it's a brutal, dirty trick, and I love it. And it's pretty much the reason to run ambulances in Michigan. And yes, I'm gonna play with them. I can't help it. So that's some of my the favorite weapons on this team. So I'm going to talk about the one I don't really like, and that is the Kinetic Super Booster. I did put a vehicle. This one here is going to be equipped with it, just for demonstration purposes. But there is, of course, some niche tricks with it. But you're basically, see, it is 66, but it does no damage, and it's 6 cans. If this thing was 2 cans, maybe, but 6 cans is just a heavy investment. But they don't suffer any damage, and for every successful hit, they go up a gear without gaining hazard tokens. And you can't increase a vehicle past its max gear. So there is something to be said for if this vehicle's in gear 1 and I want to help my buddy get up through the gears. But most of the time when that would be applicable, the slower vehicle's already in the back of the field and you're probably all the way up front. So you really have to put it on the vehicle that you're expecting to be kind of the tail end vehicle. And it also costs 2 slots. It's 2 slots for that, and it's 2 slots for the arc lightning projector. So there is, again, there's some niche reasons to do it on your opponent, where you're in a situation where if there's a curve here, or they need to make a turn, and they're in like gear 3 or 4, and you turn them into gear 6, then the only thing they can do is straight. So you can mess with them that way. But I feel like the payoff for the can cost between the slots and everything, it's just not worth it. But then your mileage may vary on it, but that's my opinion. And then we've got the Thumper, which is supposed to be like an EMP shockwave weapon. It's very much, it doesn't do damage, but it is very much like Twisted Metal Axle. Knocks the vehicles around. So again, instead of doing damage, it just makes every single vehicle within medium range, a 360-degree arc, take a flip check at counting as 2 gears higher, and I believe it's, don't think it can go over the max gear, but it might, because it doesn't actually say the vehicle's max gear in the rules. But so basically, if you have a car, if you have a performance car in gear 4, you can make it do a flip check in gear 6. Now, the fun part of that is that you have the perk rocket thrusters for your Mishkin vehicles. And so if you can actually build around the Thumper to be a helpful thing. So if you have this here and you have this vehicle, and let's say this buggy, and we'll just say this vehicle, let's say these 2 vehicles have rocket thrusters, and they both have roll cage, because this is buggy, and you say this is an upgraded vehicle with roll cage. Rocket thrusters and roll cage basically means you won't take damage from the Thumper, and then you can use the Thumper as basically an additional movement step. And because of the way rocket thrusters works, you can essentially kind of toss a vehicle out of harm's way. But the dirtiest trick, of course, is just the fact that you can put this in the middle of a pack and just send everybody flipping. And everybody's going to take 2 damage. And you can also, of course, flip them into obstacles and knock them out of position where they don't want to be, and then they have to shift down to avoid hazards and well, obstacles and stuff. But you can also flip someone across mines and napalm. So there's all sorts of fun things you can do with the Thumper. But it is kind of unfortunate that if your opponent has a roll cage and your opponent has rocket thrusters, you're accidentally helping them too. If you fire on them. But the good thing is it's a Mishkin only weapon, so every time you fire it off, you are getting your audience votes. And so this one here, I just imagine it being kind of like a big tornado generator on this ice cream truck. And again, you can kind of mentally flavor a lot of the weapons as long as people know what they're getting. So that's kind of what I just thought about. This was just this big fan thing just creates a big tornado and knocks everybody around. And then you got the magnetic jammer, which is what this is with a combat laser on this buggy. Magnetic jammer is, instead of just doing any kind of damage, you just look at an opponent and say, you can't spend your ammo tokens. And so the great thing with the magnetic jammer is there's no attack dice, there's no attack roll. You just select it, use it, and you're good. So yeah, I'm gonna go over here to their upgrades real quick because I really gotta talk about the next two fun things. So then they've got the experimental nuclear engine, which I'm not running on any of these vehicles, but it is again a high risk, high reward upgrade. And it also allows you to put something like tank tracks on buses and heavy trucks. So the big thing is, of course, the experimental nuclear engine allows you to use the long straight. And the long straight is, it's not hazardous or trivial, so you can keep up with Idris vehicles, which, hallelujah. The only real bad thing is if you ever fail a flip check, you're immediately wrecked and you immediately explode. And even if it is a bike, you explode at a heavyweight weight. So, of course, if you want to be really cheeky, an experimental nuclear engine on a bike is kind of funny, just because of that. But then you're just basically making human bombs. Or again, if, like I said, to compare to Skaven, this probably isn't a Skaven thing to do. Radioactive explosives. This sounds like something right up their alley. But so yeah, again, that's where I get the comparison there. That's one reason why one of my teams is actually Skaven based. I printed out little Skaven figures, and the lead vehicle in that is called the Cadillac. It's called the Radillac Doom Wheel, and it's in a Car of the Month video for Gasland UK. But so yeah, that is a fun thing. And then you got the experimental teleporter, which is what I was going to run with this vehicle. An experimental teleporter, when it's working as intended, it's basically like a safer-ish nitro. So I got this thing out of a Kinder Egg. If this is... Ignore the dog. Don't you just love pit bulls? But anyway, so if this is your obstacle and you don't have a way of getting around it, the experimental teleporter allows you to go anywhere in a 360-degree range around the vehicle at a medium straight. So I can go medium straight this way, medium straight that way, medium straight this way. and it's only 3 hazards to use. So with this vehicle, the idea with having a turret and arc lightning cannon and the experimental teleporter is it can go anywhere and basically hit anywhere. The only bad thing is the way the vehicles work is you roll a skid die, and if anything but a hazard, it's you. You can do whatever you want with it. And then the only problem is if the skid dice result is a hazard, the player to the left gets to place your vehicle anywhere within long range of its current position. And it thankfully neither one alters the vehicle's facing, but and neither of these can cause collisions, thankfully. But again, if you're here and this is a long straight away, if you do roll a hazard, there's nothing stopping your opponent from going like that. And if it's a long straight off, like the board edge, you can go, hey, now you're disqualified. You lose. And so that is a dirty trick. This one here, I've made the experimental teleporter out of some valve stems and some 3D printed parts. But yeah, so that is a good fun weapon. Mishkin's one of those teams that, like I said, they're very simple to play, but they do look complicated and scary because they got a lot of special rules. But again, that's like they are definitely the Skaven team of Gaslands, in my opinion, because of the high tech and very collateral damage nature of some of their weaponry. But that's basically what we've got working with us, and so now I'm going to apply some paint to them and get them looking all spiffy. And then I'll be doing the next video for these. But yeah, I hope that explains a little bit how to weaponize your Mishkin teams. Like I said, I don't really recommend the Kinetic Super Booster, but if you want to try it, feel free to give it a shot. But the Arc Lightning Projector is to me the bread and butter of the Mishkin team. Thumper is a great quirky weapon. I love the Thumper in certain situations. Put it on a truck, put it on an ice cream truck, run you some buggies with rocket thrusters, and just have some fun bouncing everybody around. So that being said, I have a good Merry Christmas, y'all, and again, always take care and be safe, and feel free to check out my Etsy channel, King of Cats Crafts, and like, share, subscribe, and you're always welcome to comment on these videos. And share your own insights. If you know any other tricks that I'm missing or I should talk about, that's part of what the comments are for. And with that, I'm going to let everybody go, and take care, be safe, and goodbye.